The project charter is a formal document that serves to define the most important information regarding your project, including its purpose, scope, and key assumptions. It provides the official foundation for the project to commence, ensures alignment among all stakeholders, and organizes our overall understanding of the project and its objectives. Today, we will discuss how to use project charters in our system. First, to begin working with the project charters, navigate to the system settings and verify that the project charter feature is enabled. It is located here, and we can see that it is already enabled. In our system, we work with project charters at two different levels. The first level is the PMO standards level. This level concerns creating templates for project documentations. We create these PMO standards and project charter templates under the PMO, Project Charter tab. The second level on which we work after creating our template, it is the project level itself. Whether it is our project manager accessing a given project in the Project Charters tab, they can add project documentation to that specific project. However, before we start creating a project charter ourselves, let us examine what such a document looks like. I enter the Project Charters tab, where I already have prepared templates for my project documentation. We will review one of the sample documents. In this case, it is the Technical Documentation Charter. As we can see, the document is composed of specific blocks that can be added directly from the menu on the right. In this menu, the available components are displayed as individual blocks. These blocks represent various project-related elements, which we can simply drag and drop into the document to construct and customize our desired project charter. These blocks may include essential project information, various additional attributes such as priority, schedule details, and other key elements. It is important to note that certain fields, such as identified risks or schedule details, will automatically populate as the corresponding project data and timeline are completed and updated. In other words, certain information will be automatically retrieved from the system's project data. However, some fields, such as, in this case, the technical specification, are manual text fields that require direct input from the user. As we can see, these fields are long text-type fields, which we will fill in manually. Now that we understand how our project charter functions, what it consists of, and how it is built, let's proceed to create such a charter template together. In the Project Charter tab, I click Add, then enter a name for our new charter. This creates an empty project charter template. As we can see on the right side, we can add various types of project information here. Some will be pulled automatically from the project and project information, and some we will add manually, for example, by entering a description. Suppose I want to create a project charter that is structured as follows. First, I begin by adding a section header to clearly mark the start of the content. To organize the layout of the project charter, I name this section General Information and adjust its color for better visual distinction. Using the color selection palette, I change the color of this section to yellow. Let's take a closer look at what elements I can add to my project charter template. Proceeding through the basic elements, I can add columns, short or long text, section fields, date, number, table, or attachment. Suppose that under General Information, I want to add a longer text field named Project Scope. Then, in a table below, I include information about the schedule and budget, using columns to improve the document's visual layout and efficiently utilize the available space. The page is divided into two sections, which I name Schedule and Budget. To each section, I add a short text field, followed by a description field for longer entries and an attachment field for supporting documents. When adding an attachment field, I can specify its purpose by giving it a name. For my schedule, I name this attachment field Roadmap Session. For the budget, I add an attachment for the financial analysis and a description to explain it. Below, let's insert a table for more project details. When adding a table, I can set and edit its name, add a text description, and define the columns. Adding columns works similarly to Excel, where only the column names are defined here, while users, such as project managers, can enter the actual content themselves. I name my table Measures of Project Success and create 3 columns. Each column will contain short text entries as its name. I start by adding indicator, initial state, and final state. Then, I specify the type of values each column will accept. For indicator, I want it to be the name of the metric. For initial state, I want it to be a number since we will provide numerical values. And final state will also be a number. I save the table and, as we can see, this section of the project charter is now created. At any time, I can return by clicking the pencil icon to edit the element or click the nearby option to delete it. Similarly, by clicking the settings icon next to the project charter, I can edit its name, clone it, or delete the entire project charter. We have now used the basic fields available on the right side. Let us now incorporate information that will be automatically pulled from our project data. For example, under General Information, I add project-specific details. These fields will populate automatically based on how we configure our project information, which we will discuss shortly. I add the project name and other elements from the project fields. It is important to note that the project field boxes we see here actually come from our system settings, as project fields are defined there. If I navigate to System Settings and select Project Fields, I can see which elements can be pulled automatically. Now I return to my project charter. Now I will add those pieces of information that I had in the system fields to my project charter. I already have the project name. Let's also add the project number. Add information about deployment countries, priority, and maybe the public announcement date. If we complete this information in the project charter, it will be saved in our project data. Conversely, if we define these details in the project information, they will automatically appear in the project charter draft for that specific project. This way, when working on a project, we do not need to manually update the same information in 2 different places, which saves time and effort. I will now scroll down and add a new section titled Project Team. I can see that we have defined project roles, such as project manager, legal compliance, and technical governance listed here accordingly. Importantly, if we go into the administration panel, we can see that the project roles already have predefined names for the roles that can be assigned and adopted within the project. If I return to my project charter, I can add exactly those predefined roles. Similarly, if we fill them in from the project charter level, those roles will automatically be defined in the project. This works both ways. If the roles are assigned in the project settings, they will also appear in the project charter. I will now add a few roles, including project manager and project sponsor. Next, we have schedule-related fields, including start date, end date, duration, progress, milestones, selected schedule elements, as well as baseline start date, baseline end date, and baseline duration. The start and end dates will indicate the projected start and finish of the project based on the current schedule, whereas baseline start and baseline end dates will reflect the approved baseline plan and the corresponding dates derived from that baseline. I will pause here for a moment and return shortly with this part of the project charter prepared, which will include fields enabling the comparison of start and end dates against the established baseline. In the meantime, as you can see, I have made a few small adjustments to our project charter. The schedule section will display various dates, including the actual start date, end date, and project duration based on the current schedule data, while also providing a comparison with the baseline. This allows us to easily see the differences between the baseline and the actual start date, end date, and duration. In a similar manner, I have also prepared the Budget tab. Using these elements by dragging them in, I created a new project charter section which show us using columns, what our expenses and revenues are compared to the baseline and the variances we can observe here. If we scroll further down, there are additional details. Let's see them. We can add risk information, either including all project-related risks or only selected ones, along with a risk matrix. I will add a risk matrix at the very bottom, which will display as a complete table. Below, I want to list all the risks associated with my project. Importantly, these risks can also be filtered. If I want to include every risk that has been added to the project, I simply click the corresponding option here. Scrolling further down in a similar way, we can add products, either all products or some selected ones in our project, as well as charts related to expenses, revenue, or scoring. With this charter configured, we can see how it performs in practice. I will go to the Projects tab and create a new project. After adding a new project to my list, I notice that, for now, the project information displayed here is empty. I will navigate to my project charter and create a new charter using the template we developed together. I will name it simply Project Charter and click Add. As we can see, the only information pulled into this project so far is the project name. This is because we created an empty project that does not yet have any additional project details assigned. The status of our charter is current, which means that the data is being updated in real time, sourced directly from the project information, assigned roles, and user permissions. As we can continuously edit the data contained in this project, if I save via approval and accept the project charter, it will be archived. I see here several fields that I can fill in. For example, the project number, deployment countries, priority level, and public announcement date, useful for media-intensive projects. Additionally, I can add the project scope to provide a clear overview. If I scroll down, I can select the project manager. It is important to know that by default, project manager will be the person creating the project. For now, I will leave my current user, Daniel, as project manager and then assign the project sponsor. And now if I go into the project settings, into the information section, I see that the information we previously lacked, which we filled in here on the project charter, has now appeared in the project information fields. Now if I change, say, the priority or the countries involved and refresh the charter, I will see that these details also change. It works both ways. Similarly, if I go to the project roles here, I see that project manager and project sponsor have also been added. Let's move on to the next topic, the schedule. Here, I can specify the start date and end date of my project. As you can see, on the right side, these dates are also used as a baseline start and baseline end date. This is because there is currently no approved scheduled baseline. After approving such a baseline for the schedule, the baseline dates will be put here. But since the baseline is not yet set, the data is sourced from this section, and it also works both ways. If we go into the project schedule, we see that the start and end dates come from the project charter, but only until we add specific tasks. Let's add some new elements here. Project phases. If the project start and end dates are determined by elements in the schedule, such as phases or tasks, we can no longer modify these dates directly from the project charter level. Suppose our project has 3 phases. After entering data for these phases, we will see the schedule dates update automatically. When I enter the dates, notice that the project's start and end dates at the top of the schedule also change accordingly. Upon entering the schedule part of our project charter, the dates are updated here as well. The same mechanism applies to the budget. If I enter project expenses and revenue, the budget tab will reflect these details, displaying a calculated total. If project expenses exist, they will be deducted from the revenues. In the absence of revenues, the full amount of expenses will be shown. As we can see, a total amount has appeared here, pulled directly from the project charter. However, if we add any revenues or expenses, these will be reflected in the project charter. Once such information is added in the Budget tab, it will no longer be possible to modify these values from the project charter itself. Changes can only be made through the Budget tab. As you can see, currently there are no risks listed, but I will add them shortly. Once added, returning to the project charter shows that these risks have appeared along with the configured risk list. Within this project charter, I can also add a sample project scope. After completing this, we can save the information. The data here, such as budget or expenses, becomes binding once submitted for acceptance and defined as a new baseline. To save the project charter and change its status from draft to saved, we must submit it for approval. We can specify which elements to include in the new baseline. By default, it includes the modified schedule and updated budget, but these can be deselected if we don't want them to affect the planned values. In this case, the project charter will be saved in the baseline plan with the fields we have filled in. It will also be a kind of a plan containing various descriptions and data, but without binding data for the budget and schedule. However, it's important to note that if we deselect this option for the first project charter, we will not be able to compare the baseline with the current schedule, and we will effectively work without a baseline. I will enable both options because I want this to be my new baseline plan, and I have the option to choose the acceptance path here. The project manager can approve the project charter themselves, so I will select Empty and click Approve Baseline. As we can see, the date has changed to the 15th, indicating that the project charter is approved. The information here can no longer be modified. After approval, the new baseline plan appears based on the charter. By clicking on it, we can view the approved schedule and budget details. We can see the budget and schedule we approved as our new baseline. In this section of the system, both a general overview and detailed views are available. Clicking on the budget or schedule allows us to see their components. At this stage, only summary data is shown. Total amounts without detailed breakdowns. Detailed values will appear once we enter expenses and revenues into the project details. We can also preview the project charter that we filled out earlier. I will now close my project charter, and upon returning to the list, I can add a new one, which will not include custom fields such as the project description. However, it will still pull data from the project fields based on the current state of the project. However, I can introduce a new version of the earlier project charter. For example, to update existing information or when the project charter template has changed. Let's assume our project has changed, and as a result, we want to add milestone information. To add milestone information to the project charter template, I will go to the PMO tab, select Project Charters, and edit the project charter template. Each new version, meaning each newly created project charter, will automatically include these specific changes. Let's say I want to add milestone information to the schedule section. At the bottom of the milestone section, I can choose to apply a filter. However, in this case, I want all milestones to appear. Alternatively, I can also select specific milestones that should be included. I will return to my project and make some changes to the schedule. Previously, we had only outlined the basic phases of the project. Now, I will add more details, including milestones. As you can see, in the meantime, I've added new items to the schedule, such as additional tasks and milestones. And because of this, both the start and end dates have changed. If I go to my baselines, that is to the previously approved schedule, I can see that requested end date is August 30th. In the current schedule, it is changed to March. If I return to my project charter, I want to keep the project scope information, but I'd like my new schedule elements to be updated. To do this, I will click New Version and assign a name to the new version to clearly identify it. As we can see, important updates have appeared in the project charter, including milestones pulled from the schedule and new schedule data. Here we also have the baseline start and baseline end fields. The start and end dates on the left have been pulled from the updated schedule. We can also see the differences between the duration and baseline duration, as well as the variance that appears here. The same would apply to the budget if we made changes there. However, I have modified only the schedule details. Therefore, when updating the project charter for submission and acceptance, we can again decide which elements will be updated and become our new baseline. I will deselect the budget since it was not changed, leaving only the schedule selected as my new baseline. We can also see how the baseline changes compared to the previous one after the acceptance of the new changes. In the baseline section, I see that this new baseline appears as the latest one, along with my most recent version of the project charter containing the updated details. we can see that the latest version contains the elements of the project charter that we added, namely information about milestones. In addition to project charters, which define the full project scope, we can add different types of documents here. For example, an idea charter or a project closure card, each with a different layout, which allows us to collect various types of information about the project at different stages of its execution. If we navigate to project charters, we will see that, for instance, the project closure card has a quite different layout. Importantly, when working with documentation, each project charter can be exported and saved as an attachment. Later, such documents can be printed or stored in an external document management system for future reference. And that concludes today's overview of project charters in the FlexiProject system. I encourage you to try creating a project charter yourself and defining a new baseline for some test projects. This is an important functionality of the system, and it is worth trying it out in practice. With a project charter, you can effectively manage any changes occurring within your project. If you have any questions, please contact our support team. As always, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss future tutorials. I wish you a great day and productive work with FlexiProject.